Hi and welcome to my channel. I'm Evelyn. If you're new here, I upload weekly vlogs every Sunday at noon. I'm currently in my first year of nursing school at West Coast University, documenting my journey as I go through the program. And in today's video, I wanted to share how I studied for my first term of core, for fundamentals, and for the proctored exam that we take during fundamentals. I hope that you enjoy. More importantly, I hope you find it helpful. This is Ace. He's so handsome and wealthy. He's a doctor. My little goofy boy. I hope you enjoy it and I hope you find it helpful. Please let me know below if you have any questions. Do my best to answer them. And if you're in nursing school, let me know where you go. Any tips that you may have, I'd love that too. I hope you like, comment, share, and subscribe. And join me on Sundays for my weekly vlogs. All right, see you there. Hey guys, so I just wanted to go over how I've been studying for fundamentals weekly, how I study for the proctored exam, and how I'm studying for the final this week. Looking at my list, there's definitely like some core things that I did and I'm continuing to do in order to study for the final. So I use GoodNotes for my note-taking and organizing. So here, if you can see, like I have my notes separated into weeks. Every week I have all my notes that I compiled for that week in one place, which organizationally and like study flow helps so much. So I would, during class, listen to lecture and take notes. And then after every lecture, there was a workshop with a different professor for funds. They would dive into more specific areas, depending on what was like maybe the most important stuff from that week, and focused a lot on like nursing process. So I would also record those lectures. So this is all like lecture notes. Our professor would give us a template that we would fill out during class, essentially. We also got PowerPoint slides. We would copy and paste all of the text from the PowerPoints and put it in the same section here with my notes. This one I didn't really like dive into like with adding too many extra pictures or anything, but there's like some illustrations that either got from directly from PowerPoint or I would like outsource on Google. This way it's just way more condensed. So then this is like note pages here are notes from the workshop. To be really honest, I only read the chapters from the fundamentals book once every week. I would review specifically the ATI book because it's like that condensed information. Because so much of what we do is so ATI based, it's just like a really good resource. For a lecture, we would have to go through our ATI modules and do a post test. So I was also always like taking pictures of those questions, and I took a picture of all the rationales, not only for the right answer, but also for the wrong answers. So I would have a little bank of those screenshots too, because there was like a few like repeat questions from the ATI modules in our quizzes. And then I don't know if this is accessible to other schools or have an app called Blast. Basically, it's also divided into weeks, and there's like different rounds and different like way to basically get repeat information. And it's like NCLEX style questions. There's sections where there's like maybe 60 questions, and then there's an area where you can listen to information or read information. And it's like broken down into different rounds throughout the week, like in like short bursts. It's kind of just to kind of keep the information fresh in your mind throughout the week. And that was super helpful. There was also questions like that in our tests. Oh, and I would also do like Quizlet maybe the night before to like review some questions. And there were some questions that I saw like from Quizlet from the Proctored exam. I didn't recognize those questions from like any other particular source, just from Quizlet. So there's that. And then videos. I watched Level Up RN the most because I felt like their information is so like concise and quick, like short spurts, which is super helpful. And I would listen to that like throughout the week. It's like so much information throughout the week. I'm not someone that can like sit there and read a whole like chapters at a time and consistently. I just can't do that. That's why I would really only read the chapters from our fundamentals textbook once, and then focus on these other resources that would give me like the information in short spurts. Honestly, if you're someone that can sit there and read and focus and like you learn in that way, I'm jealous of you, but I just can't. If you're someone whose attention span has been deteriorated due to all the media we consume, like it's good to have all these resources where you can pull short bursts of information and like keep it fresh in your mind. I take a lot of little breaks. I used to be someone that would try to push through, but it's like you need to take a break. Whether it's you use, I forget what it's called, that method where you like 20 minutes on, 5 minutes off, or whatever works for you. Like I would just go with how I felt. If I was starting to feel like I was like getting restless and I wasn't really paying attention or absorbing the information, I'm like, okay, like shut it down, go take a break, give your brain the chance to rest, and then get back to it. Implementing that and not forcing myself to like push through, I think has been super helpful for me. That was like my weekly routine for our weekly tests. ATI modules, post-test, screenshots of our post-test questions along with the right and wrong answers and the rationales for those answers, and making my PowerPoints into a study guide. And then lecture, record your lecture. It's good to like listen back to what your professor specifically emphasizes and says is important, for their test in your class. You know what I mean? I would start my blast questions after lecture as well. I would watch Level Up RN videos kind of like in the middle of the week. And then on the day before and like the day of our tests, I would read the ATI chapters. Again, it's the book that I'm talking about, by the way. And for example, I just opened up to NGTube. All the information, 1, 2, 3, 3.5 pages of all like the most important information, which is what I need and like what we need when we're in an accelerated program. You kind of just want that information that's like really important for you. Then again, like I said, I would do like Quizlet review questions or like flashcards like the day before. And I did feel like that was helpful. And that's a lot. That's a lot of like things to do, and like on top of like taking notes during my lecture and my workshop, I would then re-listen to those at some point. And there's definitely some weeks where I fell short on doing some of this stuff. Like I said, it's a lot. It's a lot. And sometimes you're just more tired, or if you feel good and confident about a topic, like maybe you don't need all this stuff, right? But the things that were like mainstays was ATI modules, my lecture, my workshop, blast, and the ATI book. Those were things that I did every single week. Like I mentioned earlier in the week, I did pass the Proctored exam with a level 2, which I'm so excited because I don't know if I explained how the point system works, but between a level 2 and a level 1, the point drop is like 40 points. And between level 3 to level 2, it's only like a 10-point difference. Between 2 and 1, it's a 40-point difference. And for us in Canvas, the Proctored exam was worth 100 points. And I think level 2, you had to get, I think, a 65 yeah, 65 and above. 64 and below is level 1, and then you would only get 50 points. So if you got level 2, you would get 90 points, regardless of your percentage. From I think 65 to 80, you would still get like full like 90 points. So basically an A, which was super important for me to get because it's 10% of your grade. So if you did get a level 1, like that would drop your grade. So I'm super happy with my level 2. So specifically for the proctored exam, that's like when I'm super focused on reviewing all of the questions and the rationales for each answer. I also reviewed my lectures for every week, and I didn't even look at my friend's book to study for the proctored exam. I only focused on the ATI chapters. And then I went back and for every week did the question portion of the blast learning. And then what was different and very important for us to do was we had to do 2 practice proctored exams and then do remediation for both of those. So it told you, like, you know, the topics that you're a little bit weak on, and then do remediation for whatever topics you're weaker on. And then dynamic quizzes. On ATI, you're able to go to dynamic quizzes in like your assessment tab and choose like the level of difficulty, the topics, the subjects, the number of questions, and like the time limit, and then sit for that quiz. So I kind of progressed them like from level of difficulty to also like time. Professor told us to try to take a dynamic quiz every single day, and then the closer you got, like the last I think 3 days, I took a 70 question dynamic quiz timed to 90 minutes. I think that was really helpful, especially to like sit for that long to take a test, so that, you know, like kind of when you needed a break. To be fair, I feel like I didn't really need a break. At home when I was doing the dynamic quizzes, I kind of just went straight through, but on the day of the proctored exam, like on my paper I wrote down like slow down, calm down, like breathe, like just take your time. There's no need for you to like rush through it, you know. We have an hour and a half, so I'm like, if you take an hour and a half, you take an hour and a half. Like I just didn't want to like rush, because on a few of the dynamic quizzes, like I did feel like I was just like zooming through them, and I'm like, you gotta slow down. So on the day, I read the question twice, read through the answers, picked the one that I thought was best. Like our professor always told us, like the first instinctual answer is most likely right. I've really kind of stuck through that this term, and I do feel like it's been like really helpful to me. Also, the last like 3 days, I spent like really reviewing through Level Up Our Ends video series. I think they have a playlist called How to Pass Your Proctored Exam or something like that. That was like a bunch of like short, like between like 3 to 8 minute long videos on literally everything that we went over in funds, and like little short bursts that I thought was super helpful. The difference between like my weekly review and like what I reviewed for my proctored exam was that I really did not look at our funds textbook. And then like my PowerPoint study guide, I didn't focus on it as much either. Now for the final that I have coming up in 3 days, I've been, again, this is my dude right here, back to this reading, reviewing. It's just like so easy to flip through and read quick information. And again, because it's ATI based, I feel like it makes the most sense for me to like really focus on. And again, I'm listening to my lectures for the weeks that I felt like I didn't do that well. And the week that I mostly did the worst was the acid base and electrolyte imbalance. Really where I really need to focus on. Oh, and I forgot to mention, for the proctored, I did include med-surg in my dynamic quizzes because our professor told us that there's going to be med-surg. I'm like, what? We're not taking med-surg. We're not at med-surg. That's next term. Like, what are we doing, silly goose? But that's just the way the test is set up. I did not review the ATI med-surg book. That thing is huge. It's like double this. I felt a little like I didn't know where to start with med-surg, to be honest. So I really just made sure I included questions from med-surg in all of my quizzes. Kind of took in the information and learned the information through the questions and the rationales for the right and wrong answers. I don't have any other tips on how to study for like med-surg. I will be honest, I was a little like lost in the sauce there for how to incorporate med-surg into my studying when it's something that we are not at yet. So a little rant, but I did feel like that was a little bit like, why aren't we taking this at the end of next term then? Does that make sense? And then there was a lot of focus on safety, fall risks, and like osteoporosis and like the care of the like older population. And of course AAPI, your nursing process, and like, you know, the least invasive to the most invasive, and like using like your common sense, you know? So I would say, but there's so many versions of I think there's like 7 versions of the Proctored exam. So, but that's just like what I felt like when I walked away. Beyond med-surg, like there's a lot of fall risk, of course safety. There was some like intro stuff like ethics and things like that, but not a whole lot. Definitely a lot of skills questions too, and like client education stuff. Like there was no med math in it. So, well, I hope that was helpful. I know it's kind of like a lot of info, and hopefully I didn't ramble too much. But yeah, that's what I did. Definitely feel like way more at ease going into studying for the final, and at this point, like I know what my cornerstone things that I like to review and study that works for me are, and so focusing on that is really what's going to be important to review. And yeah, let me know if you have any questions. Do my best to answer them. So hopefully I'll see you next week, and I'll let you guys know how my last week of my first term of core went. I can't believe, like I literally can't believe it's already here. I remember being so nervous for this term. That's funny. But now I feel like that about next term. I'm like really nervous about clinicals, but I'm sure it'll go better than I anticipate. It kind of always does, right? We build everything up to be so big and scary, or at least I do, because my anxiety. But yeah, thanks again for being here with me this week. Please like, comment, share, subscribe, and come back next week. That'd be really cool. All right, bye.